knew cleaning up after fish could spark so much drama? But here we are, folks, debating which cleanup crew members deserve the crown and which ones are just freeloading. Honestly, if some of these tank residents had resumes, they'd have professional algae eater under skills, while others might just list makes a mess and vibes. Spoiler alert, not all of them are pulling their weight. Now, let's settle the score once and for all. The Kuhli Loach is the ultimate night owl of the aquarium world. Shy, elusive, and only truly active when the lights go down. If your tank had a nightclub, this little guy would be the one keeping the party alive long after the others have called it a night. Slender and eel-like, they love burrowing into the substrate, scavenging for any leftover food or uneaten scraps that might have slipped through the cracks during the day. They're like the behind-the-scenes cleanup crew, always working under the radar, but here's the kicker. You'll probably never notice them doing it. These nocturnal fish are far from showy and tend to keep their activities hidden, making them a challenge to spot for most aquarists. While their quirky behavior and secretive nature can make them fascinating to watch, the reality is their cleaning efforts are a bit lackluster. If you're hoping for a hard-hitting cleanup crew, the Kuhli Loach probably won't meet your expectations. Think of them as the chill, low-maintenance roommate of the tank. Cool to have around, but not someone you'd rely on for serious chores. For aquarium owners looking for a more reliable algae and waste remover, other options like snails or Amano Shrimp would do a better job. That's why the Kuhli Loach lands in D tier. They're a fun and quirky addition, but when it comes to cleaning, they just don't pull their weight. Amano Shrimp are the undisputed champions of the aquarium cleanup crew. Small in size, but packing a powerhouse punch when it comes to algae control. If you're tired of algae taking over your tank, look no further than these tiny but mighty crustaceans. They don't just nibble at algae, they obliterate it from your plants, glass, and decor with a level of precision that would make a surgeon proud. They're not just algae specialists, though. Amano Shrimp are also excellent at cleaning up leftover food and organic matter, ensuring your tank stays pristine. The real beauty of Amano Shrimp lies in their versatility. They thrive in planted tanks, coexisting peacefully with most fish, and they won't overrun your setup. Unlike some species, Amanos won't multiply out of control. So, you're not going to wake up to an army of shrimp staging a takeover, and let's be real, their work ethic is impressive. Watching them move about the tank with purpose, clearing algae away from every nook and cranny is oddly satisfying. They're like the tiny janitors of the aquarium world, always on the clock and always delivering. With their effective cleaning habits, peaceful nature, and low maintenance needs, Amano Shrimp earn their rightful place in the S tier, right at the top. If you're after a tank that's spotless and algae-free, they are the ultimate team to get the job done. The Geophagus is a fascinating fish, but it's not one for the faint of heart. These large cichlids don't just live in your tank, they actively reshape it. Their sand-sifting behavior is both captivating and at times a bit of a nightmare for aquascapers. Using their mouths, they scoop up substrate, filter out food particles, and spit the rest back out, creating a flurry of sand and disruption in the process. If you've spent hours arranging plants and decorations, be prepared for the chaotic rework of your aquascape. Plants, uprooted. Sand, everywhere. Decorations, scattered. While their natural digging helps aerate the sand and prevent compaction, their disruptive tendencies mean they're better suited for tanks designed specifically for them. Think larger, more robust setups where you're not as concerned about your carefully placed plants getting dug up. Their size and behavior make them less practical for smaller tanks or tanks where aquascaping's a priority. For most aquarists, the Geophagus is more of a challenge than a helper in the cleanup crew, and they land themselves in E tier. Not because they're not interesting or unique, but because their high energy and tendency to turn your tank into their personal sandpit make them more trouble than they're worth in most setups. Fun to watch? Well, absolutely. But practical for a well-maintained tank? Not so much. Microfauna might be small, but their role in your tank is nothing short of huge. These tiny critters, think copepods, detritus, worms, and other microscopic organisms, are the unsung heroes that quietly keep your planted tank thriving. You probably won't even notice them, but they're hard at work around the clock, making sure everything runs smoothly behind the scenes. But what makes microfauna so vital? They specialize in breaking down organic matter, think uneaten food, fish waste, decaying plants, and they turn it into nutrients that fuel your tank's plants and other critters. These little recyclers maintain a natural balance, ensuring your ecosystem stays healthy without you lifting a finger. Think of them as the behind-the-scenes problem solvers that keep the show running seamlessly. And the best part? They're entirely self-sustaining. No extra feeding, no constant monitoring, just a quiet, effective force keeping things in check. Plus, they provide live food for your fish and beneficial gut bacteria, helping your aquatic pets stay in top condition. Microfauna are the backbone of your tank, ensuring it functions properly and efficiently, often without you even realizing how much they're doing. That's why Microfauna earn a well-deserved S-tier ranking in any planted tank. Without them, the balance would tip, no matter how impressive your plants are. Honestly, if you're not excited about Microfauna, or even optimizing your aquarium, they're the foundation that holds everything together, making sure your tank stays healthy, balanced, and thriving. Mystery snails are the trendsetters of the cleanup crew. With their vibrant, colorful shells, they're more than just cleaners, they're tank decor with a purpose. These snails glide gracefully across surfaces, devouring algae and leaving behind a trail of cleanliness wherever they go. Watching them work is almost meditative, like slow-motion tank therapy, but don't let their zen demeanor fool you, they've got a job to do and they do it well. Their primary focus is algae, which they consume with quiet determination, keeping your glass, plants, and decorations free of that green grime. However, their talents don't extend much beyond algae. They're not great with detritus or leftover food, so don't expect them to handle the tank's entire cleaning rosters solo. That said, their aesthetic appeal and algae-eating skills make them a valuable addition to tanks with medium-sized fish. They're dependable, charming, and surprisingly hardworking. They're just not the all-in-one cleaning solution. Their place in the B tier feels just right. They're the artistic overachiever of the tank world, contributing beauty and utility without overstepping their expertise. Large Plecos. You see one at the store, it's huge, it looks impressive, and you think, wow, this guy's gonna clean my tank and be the star of the show. No. What you actually get is a couch potato that contributes more to the mess than it does cleaning. These big boys are basically the aquarium equivalent of that one roommate who promises they'll do the dishes, but instead binge watches shows and leaves pizza boxes everywhere. Their size and appetite can lead to unintended destruction as they clumsily knock over decorations or uproot plants while looking for food, and that's why they land in the F tier. They look cool, sure, but unless you're running a tank the size of a small swimming pool and enjoy extra cleaning work, maybe give this one a hard pass. Flagfish are the unsung heroes of the aquarium world, the work smarter, not harder type. These little powerhouses arrive ready to tackle one of the tank's biggest challenges, algae. Especially that stubborn, stringy, filamentous variety. If algae is the villain in your tank, flagfish are the heroes, quietly working away to restore balance without all the fuss. What sets them apart isn't just their algae cleaning prowess though. Flagfish are remarkably adaptable, thriving even in unheated tanks. This makes them an ideal choice for aquariums where temperature regulation isn't a top priority. Their ability to thrive in a variety of conditions means they bring utility without the extra care. With their combination of hard work and versatility, flagfish earn a well-deserved A-tier ranking. They prove that efficiency, adaptability, and a solid work ethic are just as valuable as good looks. They're not just a pretty face, they're the dependable low-maintenance teammates every tank needs. Oh crabs, you think you're getting a quirky addition to your tank, and instead you end up with a pro-level hide-and-seek competitor. These guys are so good at staying hidden you might wonder if they even exist. Their cleaning game? Mid at best. Sure, they pick up the occasional scrap, but most of the time they're too busy lurking in the shadows plotting whatever it is that crabs plot. Don't get me wrong, they're cool to look at even, well, when you can look at them, but if you're hoping for some real cleaning action, these guys are not it. That's why crabs scuttle on into the D tier. Great for adding a unique touch to your tank, but not so great for keeping it clean. Plus, if you've got fish that are even mildly aggressive, good luck. Those crabs are getting turned into a snack faster than you can say, "Where's my crab?" Let's talk about Nerite Snails, the multitasking royalty of the aquarium world. Not only do they tackle algae with the precision of a seasoned professional, they also come dressed to impress with their striking patterned shells that practically shout, "I'm here to clean and I look fabulous doing it." They're the true glamour queens of your cleanup crew, combining style with efficiency. Nerite snails don't just cruise around looking cute though, they're relentless when it comes to cleaning. They munch through algae on everything from glass to plants to decor, making them a crucial part of any tank that needs an algae-busting champion. Their ability to keep the tank looking pristine without causing harm to plants or substrates makes them a must-have for any aquarium. These little snails earn their S-tier ranking with ease. Not only do they bring beauty and grace to your tank, but they're also the epitome of a hardworking, reliable cleanup crew member. If you don't have a Nerite snail in your tank yet, what are you even doing? They're the ultimate combination of function and fabulousness. Go get, you know what, finish the video, then go get one. A Siamese algae eater. Sure, it's a bit of a one-trick pony, but wow, what a trick it is. If you're dealing with the infamous black-beard algae, BBA, that unsightly tank invader that makes your aquarium look like it's been living in a swamp, these guys are your ticket to algae-free bliss. They don't waste time on anything else, actually. They're laser-focused on what they do best, eating black-beard algae and other algae alike. They might not be the jack of all trades, but who needs versatility when you got a specialist like this? If you're looking for a fish that will straight up solve your algae problem, the Siamese algae eater is your go-to. They're hardworking, efficient, and very effective at what they do. B tier feels just right. It's not a knock, it's a recognition that they know their lane and they absolutely own it. Sometimes you don't need a jack of all trades, you need a pro. And when it comes to cleaning algae, this fish is that pro. Otocinclus, or Ottos to their fans, are quite the overachievers of the aquarium world. Small in size but big in impact, these little guys are algae-eating machines, tirelessly working to keep your tank pristine. They are perfectionists who never miss a spot, relentlessly cleaning algae from every nook and cranny. They're not the most versatile crew members, let's face it, they're algae specialists, but when it comes to keeping your tank algae-free, they're unbeatable. Ottos thrive in smaller tanks or heavily planted setups where they can stay busy without feeling overwhelmed. Their small size and docile nature make them an ideal fit for community tanks, and their love for algae means they'll never stop working. A tier feels earned. They bring efficiency and a sense of calm to any tank. So if you want a tank that's as clean as a whistle with the cleanup crew that works quietly but tirelessly, Ottos are your go-to team. They've got that main character energy, even if they prefer to stay in the background. The Hillsteam Loach is basically that outdoorsy friend who's happiest when scaling a mountain or kayaking through rapids, but in this case, they're chilling in high-flow aquariums pretending your tank is a raging river. With their flattened bodies and suction cup fins, these little guys are built for life in the fast lane, literally. They thrive in tanks with strong currents which mimic the streams that they naturally inhabit. Watching them cling to rocks and glass while scouring for algae is like witnessing a tiny underwater action movie. Yeah, they're fascinating to watch, but their talents are a bit niche. They're obsessed with algae and algae alone, so leftover food and detritus are not their problem. If your tank is less high-flow adventure park and more casual suburban neighborhood, they might feel a bit out of place. But that said, in the right environment, these guys shine, earning their B-tier spot. Just think of them as your tank's adrenaline junkies. They'll thrive if you give them the aquatic equivalent of a Red Bull and a rock wall. Malaysian trumpet snails. They're the subterranean labor force of your tank. While you're admiring the peaceful surface of your aquarium, these little diggers are down in the substrate throwing a full-on underground rave. Their burrowing doesn't just look cool, it's actually super helpful. They aerate the substrate, preventing harmful gas pockets from forming, which is basically the snail equivalent of opening a window to let in some fresh air. And while they're at it, they're scarfing down detritus, uneaten food, and other organic debris. I mean, they are multitasking champions, but here's the thing, these snails reproduce fast. One day you got a handful of them, and the next you're looking at a snail population that could run a small city. It's like they saw your tank and thought, you know, this could use more of us. If you're not ready to manage their numbers, things can get out of hand really quick. Still, their cleaning skills are top tier, which is why they land solidly in the B tier. Think of them as that super productive coworker who also happens to be a little too into office potlucks. They're great to have around, but you might need to keep an eye on them. Bristle nose Plecos, those little tank cleaning machines with the funky facial hair that looks like they've been going through a midlife crisis. Don't let their scruffy appearances fool you, these guys are seriously hardworking. With their sturdy bodies and those iconic bristly noses, they get to work, scrubbing away algae from the glass, decorations, and substrate like it's their 9 to 5. But here's the catch, while they're fantastic at cleaning tanks, they're not exactly the best fit for every setup. Bristlenose Plecos can grow up to 6 inches long, which means they need a decent sized tank to roam. They're not the smallest fish in the game, and that means they might not be the best choice for ultra tiny nano tanks. However, in medium to large tanks, these guys will thrive. They're tough enough to hang around smaller cichlids without getting harassed, and they're also not afraid to go toe-to-toe with algae. For aquarists who want a functional and fairly low-maintenance tank cleaner that won't be a snack for their fish, Bristlenose Plecos are a solid B-tier contender. They may not be the most exciting addition, but they're reliable and they get the job done when it comes to keeping things clean. Their utility is undeniable, and they bring a unique look to your tank with that rugged, bristly charm. Rabbit snails are the refined aristocrats of the aquarium world. They don't rush, they don't cause drama, and they move through life, well, in your tank, with the grace of a slow-motion nature documentary. With their long, spiraling shells and leisurely pace, they're basically the chill zen masters of your cleanup crew. But here's the plot twist: they're not as hardworking as their elegant appearance might suggest. These snails focus primarily on algae gliding gracefully over plants and decorations. But they're not here to deal with detritus or uneaten food. Yeah, their cleaning abilities are a little specialized, but hey, at least they're not reproducing at light speed. Rabbit snails take their time both in cleaning and expanding their population, which means you won't suddenly find yourself the proud owner of a snail farm. Their slow reproduction rate and undeniable aesthetic charm make them a great addition to your tank, even if they're not exactly the hardest workers. They're B tier for a reason. Beautiful, dependable, but maybe not the overachievers of the crew. Think of them as the artsy friend you got who shows up a little bit late to help clean up after the party. They'll get some things done, but mostly they're just adding good vibes to the scene. And yes, I do understand the irony that they're called rabbit snails, but they don't reproduce quickly. Flagtails are the definition of big fish, big responsibility. These hefty cleaners are the dream team for monster tanks, stepping in both as algae eaters and scavengers. They've got a work ethic that's perfect for those massive predator-filled setups, where those smaller crew members wouldn't last 5 minutes. Think of them as the bouncers of the aquarium world. Tough, reliable, and always on duty. But hey, we're not going to ignore the elephant in the tank. Their sheer size makes them a logistical nightmare for anything smaller than a swimming pool. If you're rocking a standard tank, you're probably going to feel like you invited a sumo wrestler to dinner. Cool to watch, but not very practical. In the right setting though, flagtails are an asset, earning their spot in the C tier. They're the niche specialists that work hard, but definitely need room to shine. So unless you're running an underwater mansion, you might want to swipe left on this one. Bad microfauna? Oh, you better believe they're the sneaky troublemakers you didn't invite but sure as heck wish you'd kept an eye on. They're the ones causing chaos behind the scenes while you're busy admiring your tank's beauty. Think of them as the uninvited party guests who show up, raid the snacks, and wreck the place while no one's looking. We're talking about the real villains of your tank, Hydra, Planaria, and their infamous crew. Hydras are just nasty little critters. These stinging pests have a knack for lurking in the shadows waiting to ambush small fish or inverts. One minute your tank's all zen, and the next these little predators are making life miserable. They're like the uninvited mosquito, but worse because they're hard to spot. By the time you notice, your fish are already being stung. And then we've got Planaria. These flatworms that creep in and start feasting on fish eggs. If that wasn't enough, they also irritate the heck out of your adult fish, making them less than thrilled to swim around. And don't forget dragonfly larvae and damselfly larvae. These predators are like the stealthy assassins hunting down your smaller fish, shrimp, and fry. They show up unannounced and suddenly your peaceful tank turns into a horror show. And the worst part is trying to kick these freeloaders out of your tank. It's like dealing with a squatter who knows all the loopholes in the lease. Getting rid of them isn't easy, but trust me, it is possible. For Hydra, manual removal works, and certain fish like gobies can lend a hand. For Planaria, cut back on food and introduce Planaria-eating fish like loaches, or just use traps. These are intruders you risk getting from live plants, or if you try your own microfauna cultures from local water sources. Bottom line, if you want peaceful, thriving tanks, keep those little troublemakers in check. It might seem small, but they're like the villain in the superhero movie. Never underestimate them. Keep your tank clean, stay vigilant, and your aquatic world will remain peaceful. Bottom line, if you value your aquarium's peace and sanity, you want to avoid these tiny terrors at all costs. They are F tier, plain and simple. You don't want these pests, and your tank certainly doesn't deserve them. Clown loaches are basically the class clowns of your tank, vibrant, energetic, and constantly stealing the spotlight. You add them to your aquarium and suddenly it's the hottest show in town. They're zooming around, pulling off acrobatics, and getting into antics that'll make you wonder if they've been secretly binge-watching TikToks on your phone. Honestly, they're a blast to watch, but let's get real for a second. When it comes to cleaning, their resume is, lacking. Sure, they'll nibble on a bit of leftover food here and there, but that's more of a because it's their thing rather than a dedicated cleaner thing. And their size? Oh, they grow a lot. Before you know it, your colorful clown is dominating the tank, and you're left wondering why you didn't plan for their glow up. Or grow up. Both? Anyways. They're great for entertainment, not so much for utility, which is why they're chilling in the E tier. Think of them as the life of the tank party. Fun to have around, but don't expect them to do the dishes afterward. Ah, the ghost shrimp. These little guys are the ghostly inhabitants of the aquarium world. Translucent, sneaky, and, well, a bit of a snack for anyone with a taste of shrimp. Don't get me wrong, they've got charm with their clear bodies and delicate spindly legs. They bring a touch of mystery to any tank. You can watch them scuttling around, scavenging the substrate, and doing their best to look busy, but here's the thing. They're essentially an all-you-can-eat buffet for many of your fish. Betta? Yep, they'll eat them. Tetras? Same deal. Even some peaceful community fish can't resist taking a bite out of their tiny little bodies. Don't get me wrong, ghost shrimp do offer utility, like cleaning up uneaten food and detritus in your tank. They're a solid cleanup crew when you need them, but they're also extremely vulnerable, and their tendency to become lunch for most fish keeps them from being a real standout. So why are they only C tier? Well, because if you want a reliable, long-lasting addition to your tank that won't end up as someone's meal, go for Amano Shrimp instead. They're tougher, hardier, and a lot less likely to be gobbled up. Ghost shrimp, on the other hand, have one job: looking cute while being snacks. They're a fun addition, but not one to bet your shrimp population on. In short, if you're looking for a peaceful shrimp that'll get the job done without getting eaten, consider upgrading to Amanos. Ghost shrimp might be the adorable semi-transparent workers of the shrimp world, but let's face it, they're really just C tier in the food chain. Corydoras Catfish. Small, cute, and always busy. These little bottom dwellers are the ultimate scavengers, constantly darting around the tank with their little whiskers wiggling away as they sift through the substrate looking for leftovers. They are great at cleaning up uneaten food and detritus, making them a fun, low-maintenance addition to any tank. Watching them school around is like seeing a group of tiny aquatic puppies on the move, adding a lot of personality to your setup. But here's the thing, while Corydoras are responsible and adorable and they do their part in maintaining your tank's cleanliness, they're not exactly the go-to choice for serious algae control. They don't have the same efficiency as other cleanup crew members like Amano Shrimp or Nerite Snails. I mean, those little critters give your aquarium surfaces a proper scrub, while Corys mainly focus on the substrate and uneaten food. So while Corydoras make a great addition to your tanks with peaceful fish, and they're fun to watch as they work their way around the bottom, don't expect them to be the heavy-duty tank cleaners. If you're looking for a cleaner with more muscle, you might want to look to other options. But if you're after a cute, active tank companion that adds charm and does some cleaning, Corys are perfect for C tier. Functional, but not quite the MVPs you're looking for. Before you go, hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell so you don't miss out on more tank tips and rankings. Got a favorite cleanup crew member or hot take? Drop it in the comments. Let's talk fish. Or click the next video to your right. Until next time, keep your tanks clean and your vibes even cleaner.